Good evening, everyone. It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you to this very special webinar, Thriving Beyond Diagnosis, Navigating Life, Care, and Wellness After Breast Cancer. Proudly hosted by Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited. As we observe Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we are reminded that awareness is only the beginning. What truly matters is what follows. Our collective action, compassion, and commitment to those affected. Today's session stands as a reflection of that mission to empower survivors, uplift families, and strengthen the spirit of care and wellness within our Bahamian community. At Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited, our dedication goes beyond providing medical products. We are deeply invested in people, in healing, and in hope. We recognize that a breast cancer diagnosis can alter life's path, but it does not end one's journey. Beyond treatment lies renewal, growth, and opportunity to truly thrive. This webinar was created to explore the very journey, navigating life, care, and wellness after diagnosis. It is about embracing the future with strength, knowledge, and confidence. We know breast cancer affects not only individuals, but also families, workplaces, and the entire community. And so, we stand here today, united in support of every survivor, every loved one who continues to inspire us through everything. Resilience and courage. May today's discussion bring forth understanding, comfort, and inspiration as we continue to honor those who have fought, remember those we have lost, and recommit ourselves to early detection, access to care, and holistic wellness for all. Once again, welcome and thank you for being a part of this discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to introduce a distinguished leader in medicine and surgery, a pioneer, an educator, and a passionate advocate for advancing healthcare in the region. Dr. Locksley Munroe was born in Duncantown, Ragged Island, and has built an exceptional career in medicine grounded in academic excellence, clinical expertise, and dedicated service. He began his studies at the Government High School in New Providence before earning his medical degree from the University of the West Indies. He went on to make history as the first Bahamian to qualify with a Doctor of Medicine in General Surgery, completing the program within the designated 5-year period. He is also a proud Fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. Dr. Munroe has received numerous awards throughout his academic and professional career, including prizes in anatomy, surgery, and has co-authored research published in the West Indian Medical Journal. As a regional examiner and a clinical tutor for the University of the West Indies, he continues to shape the next generation of physicians. Throughout his career, Dr. Munroe has held key leadership positions, including Chief of Service in the Department of Surgery at Princess Margaret Hospital, Director of the Operating Theater, and President of the Consultant Physician Staff Association for nearly 2 decades. He also served on the Bahamas Medical Council, the Hospital Licensing Board, and the Bahamas Anti-Doping Commission, where he is a certified doping control officer. His contributions extend beyond medicine into public health and community engagement. He is actively involved in charitable organizations, including Basara, the Cancer Society, and the Sister Sister Breast Cancer Support Group. Dr. Munroe is also an avid boater, gardener, and table tennis player. He is a dedicated family man. He's married with 2 children and 3 grandchildren, and a faithful member of the Christ the King Anglican Church, where he serves on the Guild of Lay Readers. Driven by his lifelong mission to reduce suffering from chronic illnesses and contribute meaningfully to cancer research, Dr. Munroe brings not only a wealth of knowledge, but a deep compassion of healing and service. Please join me in welcoming today's speaker, Dr. Locksley Munroe.
Health is the greatest gift. That's where we come in. Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies is a premier distributor of medical equipment, as well as medical and surgical consumables. Our engineers are always on hand, providing top care service that saves lives. We carry a wide selection of over-the-counter and prescription items, IV fluids, and other injections. Our products are state-of-the-art, and our entire team stays on top of cutting-edge technology. With more than 2 decades of dedicated service, Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies continues to be a trendsetter and innovator in healthcare. We have set ourselves apart by truly caring for our customers. We understand the intricacies of healthcare, and we produce spectacular results. We cherish our partnerships and nurture our friendships as we continue on our quest to help everyone maintain that wonderful gift of good health.
Find us on 95th Terrace, Centerville, and now located in the Lucaya Shopping Center of Freeport, Grand Bahama.
Good afternoon, all. It is truly a privilege and an honor to have been invited to this event. As you all know, this is Breast Cancer Month, and it's always been a busy time. But there are certain persons who you may never say no to. And it's a humbling invitation, and that synopsis of my bio, it really caused me to shrink a bit. But I would like to just give an overview as per instructions concerning thriving beyond the diagnosis of breast cancer. Literally, in terms of the diagnosis, you got to speak of how we do that. Once you've made that diagnosis, I'm talking about treatment, and then how does the diagnosis and treatment actually impact the patient? From a clinical standpoint, diagnoses are made based on history, a physical exam, and at that point, you're going to come to a clinical diagnosis, at which point you also have differential diagnoses that you have to confirm what is the diagnosis. And you do that by testing. Testing can be either general or specific, and that is how you confirm the diagnosis. When you tell someone that they have breast cancer, almost the first thing they say to you is, "What? Breast cancer?" I'm not claiming that. However, I would just like to point out, you may not be claiming the cancer, but the cancer is claiming you, because that is the biologic behavior that cancers and malignancies carry out. The next question usually is, what stage is my cancer? The truth of the matter is, at the diagnosis, you wouldn't know the stage. You're just confirming a clinical impression. The exact stage depends on the size of that tumor, what is the nodal status, that's the lymph nodes, and whether or not there's any evidence to suggest spread of the disease. What is known at that time, generally speaking, is the grade, and it's low grade, intermediate, or high grade. And those terminology speaks to the potential biologic behavior of that tumor. If it's low grade, it's likely to be very calm, very sedentary, and so forth. If it's high grade, it's going to be a very wild tumor that's likely to spread at a very early phase in its evolution. The implication of that, you require more testing. And we're going to come to a point, the implication of those tests. You have to determine the nodal status, the receptor status, and whether or not there's any evidence of spread of disease. And we usually use something called a PET scan, a proton emission tomographic scan combined with a computer axial tomographic scan, a PET-CT. So how do you manage this? Well, usually we have multiple specialists, and various different modalities to deal with malignancies, with cancers. Where are you? Did you detect your cancer because of a screening test? That is the mammogram. Those are old photos, but they basically give the message. You do a mammogram, you can see an abnormality in it. So you have detected the disease on a screening evaluation. And usually breast self-examination is encouraged and followed by mammography and ultrasonography. And these really show you some of the things that we run into as physicians. That's someone, if you look closely, actually has a lump in the breast. So you have a lump. In the mammogram, you don't necessarily feel a lump. That first picture shows a lump. That second picture actually shows when the cancer is essentially claiming the patient. And we see many of those. Now, the whole idea is striving beyond the diagnosis. If you look at the word thrive, it implies that you're growing well and vigorously. You have a little baby and you see that baby today, and in 2 weeks' time, that child is actually looking at you and smiling and all that, and has gotten that much bigger. You plant your garden. Wow, your plants are really good. How do you thrive beyond the diagnosis of breast cancer? Well, lots of things are based on financial resilience. If you have stage 1 breast cancer, and this is from about maybe 10 years ago now, so obviously the cost is much different. But a stage 1 cancer, to treat it completely, you have to come up with $72,000. Stage 2, $97,000. Stage 3, $159,000. Stage 4, $182,000. That basically is the definition of a catastrophe, defined as when an event overcomes your natural resources. And in general, who has $71,000? Who can come up with $71,000 in about 9 months to treat a cancer? Very few people. And as I mentioned, the treatment is multidisciplinary. You have surgery, you have chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and then there's targeted therapy to the tumor depending on the characteristics. And surgery can be either primary or secondary. And as we say, adjuvant or neoadjuvant, similarly with chemotherapy. So those are the options in treatment. You need to have life. And if you who have done biology, you'll come to understand that there are 7 characteristics of life. You respond to stimuli, you move, you have nutrition, respiration, metabolism, you grow, you excrete, and you reproduce. So you have life. You need to keep your life. And here's where we talk about health. An old definition, or older definition, health is not just the absence of disease, but it is a state of mental, physical, and social well-being. In other words, to get beyond the diagnosis of cancer, you have to deal with the mental attitude of the patient, what is the physical condition of the patient, and what sort of social support that patient has. Social support is very, very important in managing the catastrophe of breast cancer. Very, very important. That's me. That's a picture of someone who underwent a bilateral mastectomy. This is someone who was healed from a single mastectomy, and another person who underwent bilateral mastectomies. When we look at the mental aspect of it, we talk about the symptoms of grief. And a long time ago, I learned that the grieving process actually takes about 2 years. So if I give you the information that you have breast cancer, that's a catastrophe. That's a loss. It's going to take you at least 2 years to get over that diagnosis. So don't be in a rush. You adjust yourself accordingly to what is taking place. And we have stages of grief. What he says, denial, you have anger, you bargain, you become depressed, and then finally you accept what the circumstances are. Why me? I don't have this. I'm not claiming this. Then you get angry. Again, why me? Why not that evil woman down the road? Why not that man further down? Men have breast cancer as well. Then you start to bargain. If I drink alkaline water, if I drink my neem, whatnot, I will get better and I will go to church every Sunday. And when those doesn't work, then people become depressed. And finally, they accept what the circumstances are. Again, when you consider a mastectomy, you feel that you no longer want it. I'm no longer pretty. My husband don't want me. My friends don't want to be around me because they don't want to catch breast cancer. There are various ways to get past those symptoms. You have physiotherapy after surgery. You're talking about the spider crawl, improving your range of motions. You can do massages. We have garments, what you call sleeve, compression sleeve. You have prosthesis, external as well as internal. You can undergo reconstruction. And obviously, there is counseling and informal as well as formal. The groups such as Sister Sister and other support groups can help you to really and truly comprehend and accept the fact that you have this diagnosis of breast cancer and to get beyond it. And I'll just show you a few pictures of some of my patients. This young lady, the one on the right, she's had breast cancer for over 7 or 8 years. And many of you may know Miss Andrea Sweden. She had breast cancer for more than 20 years. And she didn't die from breast cancer because she dealt with it in the appropriate manner. And I can say to you that both of them have had bilateral mastectomies. You're looking at them, they had bilateral mastectomies. This other young lady here, she had breast cancer. She was on a medication that actually cost $12,000 per month, Ibrance. And the other one, she was diagnosed in 1996, and she's still here today. This is basically next year will make 30 years since she had a diagnosis of breast cancer. And I may be biased because they are all women, but I think there are some really beautiful women. Do you think that being white and lying in a hammock by the beach makes you beautiful? That African woman with her little baby looks just as beautiful to me. Am I really beautiful? What is it that my husband wants? What is it that my boyfriend would like from me? You need to ask those questions. Have the courage to find out exactly what it is that they want. And I've had patients who had that courage. How do you go beyond that diagnosis? The mental aspect, the physical aspect, and your lifestyle. A lot of us think that earning money gives us this easy lifestyle. Okay? You're just putting yourself at risk to develop illness, to become ill. You need to get off of that chair. You need to get rid of that remote. Yes, you can have your alcohol. Avoid that pizza, right? Get up. Go outside. Get some sunlight. Keep yourself hydrated. Change your diet. Stop smoking. This for men and women. And I'm speaking to the men as well for one very simple reason. If you are with your best friend, the string it to your heart, then you need to take some interest in her to make sure that both of you live a healthy lifestyle. And a long time ago, there's someone who we honor as medical practitioners, Hippocrates. They attribute this saying to him, make your food your medicine and your medicine your food. Stop eating junk. Stop eating a lot of processed food. Go to those vegan stuff. And yes, I have absolutely nothing against the naturopathic elements. Because if you deal with those on a regular basis, they do have a positive impact on your life. That's aloe, that's your moringa, your soursop, and people talk about sugar. There's absolutely nothing wrong with sugar. It's how much of it that you're taking. And yes, cancer cells actually take a lot more sugar than normal cells because they are very active. And make your dinner plate look like that. You bought all those nice cutlery, you got all those things when you got married, and you stuffed that plate with food. You cannot see the beauty of your plate. You can see the beauty of your meal as well as the beauty of your plate. And this picture simply says to you, there is a higher power. When you kneel before God, He stands for you. And when God is with you, no one can stand against you. So no matter the cancer, if you do what you're supposed to do, and you have that belief, believe you me, you can make it through. This picture I like to present because it says never ever give up. Even though that egret is trying to swallow that frog, the frog is choking the egret, it won't win the battle. And I think that brings me towards the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for being here, for your attention, and I hope you take the message that cancer, as I mentioned, that young lady, she's going to 30 years come next year. And Miss Andrea, believe you me, 20 years later with bilateral breast cancer, she did not die from cancer. She had issues with her heart. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies and to the group for allowing this presentation. Thank you.
In the heart of every equipment service engineer, a symphony of care unfolds. Behind the scenes, dedicated professionally qualified engineers like the team at Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited ensure every machine is primed for precision, every patient experience seamless. Our reach extends from Nassau to the Family Islands and within the Caribbean. No matter where our clients are, we're there to serve them promptly and efficiently. Specialized Bahamian-trained engineers, fueled by commitment, master the latest technologies in MRI, CT, X-ray, and C-arm equipment with mammography, anesthesia, ultrasound, and patient monitors. Plus, our dedication to customer satisfaction is unmatched. Whether it's routine maintenance or emergency repairs, they know we'll get the job done right. The first time, every time. And remember, if it's healthcare, it's here.
Thank you, Dr. Munroe, for such great insight into the importance of detection, treatment options, and letting us know that there is still light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our second speaker, a passionate advocate for health and wellness, a certified nutritionist, and a leader in corporate wellness strategies. Mr. Donovan Ingraham currently serves as the Group Corporate Wellness Manager at CG Atlantic Medical and Life Insurance Limited and Zest Wellness. His academic journey includes an Associate of Science degree in Biology and Chemistry from the College of the Bahamas, a Bachelor of Science in Biology from Tallahassee University, and a Master of Science in Allied Human Nutrition from Oxford Brookes University in the UK. With a strong foundation in biological sciences and nutrition, Mr. Ingraham blends science with practical behavioral changes, techniques to help individuals make sustainable, healthier life choices. His passion for nutrition was shaped early on. From his time as a dolphin trainer, where he discovered the powerful link between behavior and diet, to his culinary exposure alongside his father, executive chef Don Ingraham, this unique blend of experience informs his holistic approach to food, nutrition, and wellness education. Over the past decade at CG Atlantic, Donovan has designed and led innovative wellness programs for corporate clients and staff. He has organized impactful public health events. These include a 2017 wellness showcase with Dr. Deepak Chopra, which attracted over 1,500 attendees, and a major community fun run walk in 2018 with nearly 2,000 participants. Most recently, in 2025, he played a leading role in the successful Zest Festival at the Nassau Cruise Port, an initiative promoting community-wide healthy living. He is certified in dietetics by the Bahamas Health Professions Council and remains deeply committed to improving the health of both local and global communities. Please join me in welcoming a visionary in wellness and a dedicated health advocate, Mr. Donovan Ingraham.
Shopping online isn't new to the market, but gaining access to affordable healthcare products at the click of a button is the greatest customer experience. Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited gives access to a complete customer journey, from shopping in our retail store on 9th Terrace, Centerville, to shopping online at your convenience from work or from the comfort of your home. Offering delivery and pickup options. Remember, if it's healthcare, it's here. Shop online today.
Good evening, and thank you for having us wherever you may be. My name is Donovan Ingraham, and as mentioned, I am the Group Corporate Wellness Manager with CG Atlantic, Medical and Life, and Zest Wellness. Today, we talk all things wellness from this point on. Of course, when discussing wellness, it's important to start with some form of statistics. Based on the 2021 statistics or data provided by World Health Organization, we would understand that based in the Bahamas, top 10 deaths in male and female were related to non-communicable diseases. For females, top 3 were ischemic heart disease, hypertensive heart disease, stroke, and even breast cancer. Amongst men, ischemic heart disease, interpersonal violence, hypertension, stroke, and prostate cancer among men. So we note that disease plays a major role in deaths here in the Bahamas. In fact, the World Health Organization has identified obesity in itself as a disease. What this means is the larger the individual, the more at risk they are for death or obesity. And with this, we know as fats are suspended around the brain, there's an increased risk of a stroke. As fats are suspended around the chest or midsection, there's an increased risk of heart disease, breast cancer, kidney failure, and even heart attacks and heart failure. So it's very important that as we go through life, and if we are to prevent ourselves from being at risk of chronic diseases and even cancer, we must manage our weight. When understanding weight, we must understand the 3 various body types. There are 3 different body types that exist in every society, no matter where we are in the Bahamas or internationally. The 3 major types, ectomorph, mesomorph, and then endomorph, are particularly the types of body types that we kind of fall into. An ectomorph individual will be a slim, slender individual. Those individuals typically want to put on weight, and they would need to eat a minimum of 6 meals per day. They require a high amount of fiber and protein in their diet. And also, when it comes to exercise, they should embark upon weightlifting and also cardiovascular exercise. Our endomorph individuals are our larger individuals in society. These individuals will be considered overweight or, in some cases, even obese. For them to establish normality in terms of their weight, they must consume a minimum of 3 meals per day. They should consume more proteins and fiber in their diet. More vegetables and fruit should be abundant in their diet. And when it comes to exercise, cardiovascular exercise is best in establishing weight loss. For all individuals in society, we want them to fall within the mesomorph body type. This body type is the athletic-looking type, the more fit, viable individuals in society. To establish this, to maintain this, individuals need to consume 6 small meals per day. They must adapt to a diet high in fiber and lean proteins and a mixture of cardiovascular and aerobic exercises. So ideally, our ectomorphs want to look like a mesomorph, and our endomorphs should look more like a mesomorph to establish a positive health outlook. Stealing a line from Dr. Munroe's presentation, Hippocrates said it best: let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. So let's reflect. When establishing lifestyle changes, there's several things we need to embark upon. One of the first things we need to embark upon is the way in which we approach food. The My Plate Guide was designed by the Obamas, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama when they were in the White House as president and first lady. It was introduced to replace the food pyramid, which was always so complicated to understand in terms of food intake. What it establishes is that at every meal, 25% of that plate should represent high fiber sources. Another 25% of the plate should represent lean protein sources. And 50% of every meal should be a portion of fruit with vegetables or a half plate of vegetables. Of course, when we think of vegetables, raw vegetables would always be better than cooked vegetables. If we were to adapt this portion plate mechanism at every meal, we can establish not only weight loss, but better yet, weight maintenance. In fact, it is even important to establish that beyond consuming your meal in this 25-25-50 ratio, whereas 25% again is lean proteins, 25% is high fiber, and 50% of that plate is vegetables, we should also avoid missing meals. It should be at breakfast, at lunch, and at dinner. This would re-emphasize the World Health Organization's recommendation that normal, healthy individuals should aim to have no less than 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables in one day if they are to maintain a normal, healthy status. All right? So let's explain that a little bit more. Based on a research study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition back in 2015, they had some 50,000 persons volunteer for a research study. They wanted to determine satiety and satisfaction. Satiety meaning feeling of fullness, and satisfaction meaning that I enjoyed my meal. They categorized individuals into two groups. They had a low energy density group, and then they also had a high energy density group. When we think low energy density, that means that the calorie value is low, but the fiber content is high. When we think of high energy density meals, we think that the calories are very excessive, meaning that within that calorie being excessive, there's very little options in terms of which we can consume and very little fiber present in that meal. So looking at the meal to the right, both shared the same calorie values for both groupings, 1575 calories per day. The low energy density meal to the right had an abundance of fruits and vegetables, whole grain breads, juice and soda were replaced with low sugar, low fat items. Milk and dairy products, of course, were low fat options, and there were an abundance of fresh fruits and vegetables available. On the picture to the left, a high energy density meal. Notice that the volume of food is much less. In fact, the options available are more greasier, high sugared options. We see chips, we see French fries and burgers, we see a cheese Danish, and we see an assortment of other unhealthy items. No fruits and vegetables present in the high energy density option. When we compare both, based on this research study, we identify that the low energy density meal, again, is lowest in calories, provides less calories over the course of the day, and also higher amounts of fiber per calorie value. Whereas the high energy density meal provided way more calories and less fiber options. In this research study, in surveying these members who would have participated, they identified that persons who ate the meal to the right, the low energy density meal, they not only felt full immediately after eating their meal, but they also remained full for 3 hours following that mealtime. Whereas individuals who ate the meals to the left, the high energy density meals, they were hungry soon after completing that meal. That's within 30 minutes of eating that meal. And they opted to snack more often throughout the day. So what does this tell us? It tells us that when we adapt to a diet high in fruits and vegetables, high in fiber, high in lean proteins, not only are we going to be more satisfied, but our satisfaction and our feeling of fullness will last longer. Also, between meals, between breakfast and lunch, between lunch and dinner, and even late at night, there was a less requirement to snack or to add more supplementation of food in between those meals because those individuals were satisfied by the meal itself. So, this tells us that we should all embark upon lifestyle changes, not diets. In fact, when we embark upon a diet, it's just a circle, a cycle that comes right back and is not effective. What happens is we embark upon a diet. Yes, the metabolism would slow down a bit. Within the first week, you may establish 5 or 10 pounds loss. But as that diet progresses into week 2, you find that less weight loss is established, your motivation is lost, and what happens? You end the diet. When you have completed that cycle, you go back to your normal eating habits. You tend to eat all the bad things you were missing for the last week or two. You gain more weight than you even started with, and your momentum is shifted. Whereas if you embark upon a lifestyle change, and a lifestyle change means eating that portion plate, 50% of that plate, vegetables, 25% of your plate, high fiber sources, another 25% of that plate, lean protein sources. Eating in this means not missing a meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is the establishment of a lifestyle change. Now, other factors that influence obesity, of course, is stress and alcohol consumption. Most times, persons consume a large volume of alcohol on weekends. We might miss Monday through Thursday, but when Friday comes, all those beverages that we missed, we overconsume. The World Health Organization has identified that a healthy male should consume no more than 2 servings of alcohol beverages per day, and a healthy female should consume no more than 1 serving of alcohol per day. If you look at the note to the left, the nurse walks up to a patient and she says, "When you're stressed, it's okay to have 1 glass of wine." The patient responds, "Every 10 minutes? Of course not." We don't want persons to be over-consuming alcohol, but we need them to understand what is the right volume when it comes to the alcohol they choose. When thinking about beers, we should limit our consumption to no more than 12 ounces. When thinking about other alcohols like malt, liquor, it should be no more than 8 to 9 ounces. When considering wine, it should be no more than 5 ounces. And when we consider spirits or shot, it should be no more than 1.5 ounces. And that's 80 proof spirits, of course. Now, when we consider lifestyle change, it's important to understand if we all ate the same, if we all exercised the same, our bodies will still look completely different from one another. Beyond here, we must understand not only our stress levels, our alcohol consumption, and our nutrition, but we also must understand where does food come from. When we think of food being produced, foods are produced either from a farm or from a fishing vessel. That's the production stage. Food is then moved into processing, then it moves into distribution. From distribution, it either reaches a restaurant in which we consume that meal, or the retail store prior to getting to your dinner table. It is a long process from production to consumption. This can look up to a week or 2 weeks before the item is actually consumed. What does this mean? This means that those fresh fruits and produce that we import into the country no longer has the antioxidants necessary to protect us against chronic diseases and also cancer. What this also means is that we must embark upon our own gardening initiatives, community gardens, farmers markets, locally here in the Bahamas. This is something we've been adamant about at CG Atlantic. Additionally, we must reflect on Eleanor Roosevelt when she was the first lady in the White House during World War II. Food was rationing all around the world, and what she did, she created a campaign on gardening initiatives all around America. She encouraged persons to plant foods in local gardens, on rooftops, and on balconies. This allowed for Americans to survive the World War II with limited food availability. If we are not in control of the foods we eat, then the future is going to look more cosmetic. Scientists have now become involved in food marketing and food manufacturing. In fact, a lot of foods are grown in lab as they are not as much grown in garden spaces. We don't want this for our future. Additionally, we must be aware of food marketing campaigns of getting us to purchase those sugary goods as we cash out at the register, these brand labels that we can recognize at the spot of an eye. In fact, we must also be aware of how food marketing affects children, influencing them to choose unhealthy foods because of toys, or the American society or Bahamian society choosing larger volume of foods because it's cheaper, or thinking that fast food is more sustainable. Now, we must be self-motivated. We must also be self-accountable. You either make yourself accountable or you'll be made accountable based on your circumstances. In another study published in the Journal of Women's Health, they found that a significant number of women recognize small weight gains, around 4.5 to 8.8 pounds, in a period of 6 months. And those little gains added up over time. What this means is we see ourselves gaining weight, that shirt, that blouse, or trousers, getting a little bit snug. What do? We ignore it. You wait weeks and months, that weight gain progresses, and at that point, it becomes, like Dr. Munroe mentioned, a crisis. So we must recognize these incremental weight gains as they happen and take action now. Margaret Thatcher said it best when she says, "Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny." Make small changes today. They make big changes for tomorrow. I also encourage you to embark upon some form of physical activity, whether it be stretching, table tennis like Dr. Munroe likes, actual tennis that I love, going to a gym, working on in groups. And I encourage you, partner up with someone, create a buddy system, and let's become accountable for each other. Let's get kids involved in more physical activity. Let's get them outdoors playing rather than playing video games. And lastly, I'll end with my last quote. This is from Dr. Zeus. "You have brains in your head, your feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. The power is yours." I thank you. If you want more information from me related to nutrition, you can check out our website. It's www.cgzestwellnessblog.com. You can check out CG Zest Wellness on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube. There you'll find a number of podcasts, blog articles, and webinars that you can replay and share with those that you like. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you enjoyed this session. So please stay tuned. We'll be back with a Q&A section with myself and Dr. Munroe in a few minutes.
Meet Relinda Arnett. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2012 and had to make tough decisions shortly after it was confirmed she had cancer.
You have to go through the praying process and asking the Lord what you should do, and asking the Holy Spirit and asking the children, So I went through all of that. And, it just so happens I was on the computer working one particular morning, Sunday morning before I went to church. And like the Holy Spirit just dropped in my spirit, "Tell your son to bring you a mastectomy."
What followed was months of recovery. Part of the process was getting the right mastectomy bra and prosthesis, which is an artificial breast shape that can sit inside a bra to replace all or part of the breast. For years, Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies has sold the best-known brands for cancer care, including Amina, which is a top mastectomy bra line. Their staff is also specially trained by vendors to help customers pick the right products. Arnett says their products have helped her maintain an active lifestyle.
I continue living my life. I'm involved, and I'm a retiree. I've been retired now like after over 12 years, sister. I go on the beach a lot. I go walking. I go to morning mass. From morning mass, I go walking. I go on the beach. And that prosthesis is so good, you know, the one for the water. After you retire, like, you still want to be active. You still want to do things. You still want to go places.
Another highlight for Arnett is the service from the company's highly trained staff.
So I find myself very comfortable when I come here. And she's very helpful. She takes her time. There's other customers, but she takes her time. She doesn't rush, you know, and everybody is very hospitable. I would advise anyone to come here, take your time, speak to one of the young ladies, give your option to them and tell them exactly what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, they will help you decide on what's best for you.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right. Thank you for joining us for this question and answer segment. Do you have any questions for myself, nutrition-wise, and any questions for Dr. Munroe? Let us know in the chat. So, Tennille, you asked about ounces, and you asked if they were per day or per week. Was it related to the alcohol consumption? If it is on a daily basis. For men, alcohol consumption should be limited to 2 servings per day, and for women, alcohol consumption should be limited to 1 serving per day. In fact, if we were to accumulate all these servings by missing it from Monday to Thursday and have multiple servings on a Friday, that is considered binge drinking. That's not what we want to be doing at all. I hope I answered that question for you. So, in terms of diabetic education, it is important for diabetics to follow this My Plate guide even more specifically. Fiber is a major part of managing blood glucose values. Additionally, you don't want to compromise the blood sugar values by having high-fat proteins, so it is always best to have lean protein sources. Examples of lean protein sources: that's chicken breasts, turkey breasts, but not turkey wing, not chicken wing, not chicken thigh. When we think of other forms of protein, of course, we think eggs and fish. For vegetarians and vegans, that would be all forms of legumes. That's beans, lentils, peas, and nuts. Same for carbohydrates. We want a high fiber source when it comes to diabetics. The higher the fiber, the better you regulate your blood sugar levels. Why? It's because the fiber is slowly releasing the blood sugar into the blood, and it regulates the blood sugar values. Whereas if you have refined carbohydrates, that sugar is released very quickly and it will spike your blood sugar values. So high fiber carbohydrate examples, again, is whole grain rice, oats, rye, and barley. Should you embark upon refined grains, it is then important to mix in legumes. So white rice with black beans, white rice with corn, white rice with peas to establish more fiber. But the most important thing to take away from this portion plate is definitely half the plate should be vegetables, and raw vegetables are always better than cooked vegetables.
Yes, I can add something on to what Donovan said, and that is the caloric value of the food. Carbohydrates give you something like 4.2 calories per gram. Alcohol actually gives you 7 calories per gram. And when you look at fats, they give you like 9.2 calories per gram. And that's where the problem truly resides. People, you get the bare belly simply because in drinking alcohol, you're actually taking in more energy, more calories than if you just taking something like a cracker or rice or grits or something like that. Alcohol has 7 calories per gram. And that's why it's important that you pay attention to how much of it you take. Besides its impact on your motor and your mental function, it has a high caloric value compared to the other elements in the diet. I'd like to make a comment, and that is that the definition of health isn't just the absence of disease, your mental status as well as your social status. And I think we all can help persons regain their health and maintain it. And as much as I mentioned the whole cost of those medications and treatment, If we have our cookout, if we have our walkathon, if we have our mini fairs, we can help our neighbors, we can help our sisters, we can help our brothers. Let us get ourselves together rather than depending on other sources. Let's get ourselves together as a society. Let us get ourselves together as a village and help each other to regain and to maintain our health.
I echo Dr. Munroe's sentiments in terms of community. Community is a very impactful part of rehab. It's also an impactful part of lifestyle. They say when you surround yourself with like-minded individuals, you tend to respond positively, right? And so if we have persons surrounding us who are not willing to exercise, who only want to stay out late, who want to embark upon drinking and smoking, those are not lifestyle changes you want to be around. When you make a lifestyle change, you want your community and your support to be around persons who have the same vision, the same mindset as you, so you're never distracted from your goals. In fact, I think it's also important to note that we mentioned that the World Health Organization suggests that we eat fruits and vegetables, 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables per day for normal individuals. But if you have been diagnosed with cancer, your requirements for fruits and vegetables are even higher. In fact, you should be consuming 8 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. I encourage you, explore recipes, find innovative ways to make them healthier, and make sure that the foods that you are consuming, you enjoy. This is not a journey just for a week or 2 weeks. This is a lifestyle. When you embark upon this, this will be for the rest upon your life. So we encourage you, choose the farmers markets locally to get affordable fruits and vegetables. We hear all the time, eating healthy is expensive. It doesn't have to be if you plan and prepare. If you plan by writing grocery shopping lists and sticking to that list, and also visiting local farms or local farmers markets can be very economical for your pockets.
Primarily, they may be related to the drugs or, in some instances, from the surgery itself. Particularly your adriamycin, cytoxan, they impact vitamin B metabolism, which is a very important element in nerve to maintain your nervous system. Surgery can actually damage nerves at some point. So similarly to the tumor itself, may cause some negative impact on nerves. Now, nerves have the capacity to regenerate, but they do that at a very, very slow rate. So if you bear with it, after about 9 months to a year, sometime after 18 months, you may regain some of that function. But nerves are one of the tissues in the body that are very, very slow in regeneration. And I guess to a certain extent, you have to adapt to that change. It requires adaptation.
When we think of risk factors for cancer, we have to think of any form of carcinogen. Alcohol is a carcinogen. Fatty foods, also a carcinogen. Foods high in sugar, carcinogens. And we think about lifestyle and environmental factors. The exhaust from a car, that's a carcinogen. Aerosol sprays that we spray in an enclosed room, that's a carcinogen. Exercising too much, smoking, and of course not getting enough sleep. All these forms of carcinogens we are exposed to on a day-by-day basis. The only way we can counteract the exposure to carcinogens, in some ways we cannot avoid them, but we can protect ourselves in terms of the damage they do to the body. And we protect our bodies by consuming antioxidants. And antioxidants, we know, are present in all plant-based products. That's why it's so important to eat fruits and vegetables, but more importantly, to eat raw fruits and vegetables to increase the amount of antioxidants in our diet. It's also important that we have these antioxidants at every meal. It's important that as we go through our day, that we consume meals at breakfast, lunch, and dinner to maintain a stable metabolism while providing antioxidants throughout the course of your day to protect against the exposure of carcinogens.
Again, primarily, as mentioned by Ingram, you need to improve the fiber content of your diet. And the other thing that I usually suggest that they do is start taking cod liver oil. In other words, the fiber actually improves bowel function. But one of the things with fiber is that it actually causes water to be absorbed from the fecal material. But if you take that cod liver oil, it actually provides a certain level of lubrication and allow the movement of the fecal material. The other reason why I suggest cod liver oil, because that has a high content of vitamin D. And vitamin D is a very, very important element in our lives. It impacts your bone health. The other thing that it does is it actually helps to modify and regulate your immune system. Instead of allowing the immune system to go wild, it actually provides a certain level of moderation, of control in the immune system. And again, if you remember the presentation, that young lady is walking in the sun because sunlight, when it acts through your skin on cholesterol in the body, it converts cholesterol to something called cholecalciferol. Cholecalciferol, but calciferol goes to the liver and is converted to 25-hydroxycalciferol, then to the kidney to become 5,25-dihydroxycholecalciferol. And I know I'm talking a bunch of crap, but hey,
French.
but that is actually vitamin D. You can get vitamin D, all this sun, sound, and see that we have. If you go there for half an hour, you can actually reduce your cholesterol level, which improves your vascular system. You can improve your vitamin D, and you can actually improve your immune system. And it's basically, God has given us that light. You don't have to pay for that. You just have to go there and take the sun. So with the constipation, the fiber, the fluid, along with some form of lubrication. I guess, I'm a surgeon. I don't believe in medicine like that. The body has the capacity to heal itself. You simply have to put in place the elements that allows the body to heal itself. And nutrition is very important. Very important. I would suggest you get tested as soon as possible. And again, my experience here in the Bahamas, I guess to a certain extent, I don't want to say it like this, but it's phenomenal with some of the families that I have had to deal with out of Acklands, out of South Andros, out of Eleuthera, and out of Exuma. 8, 10 of those relatives have breast cancer, colon cancer, ovarian cancer. So if you can get tested as early as possible, that's the best thing you can do, particularly for the females, because you have to plan your life. Are you going to have children? Are you going to breastfeed and so forth? And then how are you going to prophylax yourself to prevent yourself from getting either ovarian or breast cancer? Mentally, you have to prepare yourself for prophylactic mastectomy, which means you remove your breast, because once you take out the breast tissue, you reduce your risk of breast cancer. And you have to remove your uterus and your ovary to reduce the risk of ovarian cancer and endometrial cancer. And as I mentioned, from a mental standpoint, a lot of females and males believe that you are a woman if you have a uterus and an ovary. That isn't necessarily what makes you a woman. Your beauty is from within. Similarly with the breast, you have life. You enjoy life while you have it. But the BRCA gene is something that should be done once you have a family history, because it helps you to evaluate your risk of developing those spectrum of cancer, breast, ovarian, and endometrial.
So persons on chemotherapy, they should avoid raw vegetables only because the bacteria that may be present and can affect the immune system. In this case, of course, cooked vegetables would be best. Blanching would be better than boiling, of course. Sauteing better than frying, of course, as well. Or baking for a short period of time. However, when you consume those cooked vegetables, you don't want to overcook them, because if you do overcook them, you lose the antioxidants to the atmosphere in the form of the oxygen. That's that steam coming off of your food. That's the antioxidants flying away from the food. We want the foods to provide the antioxidants to our body, not the environment. Okay?
Yes, the BRCA gene has a high association. You got like an 80% or greater risk of developing breast cancer, ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer. But in the general population, there is still the epidemiology of developing those cancer that isn't related to genetic background. So the fact that you are BRCA negative does not exclude you, stops you from having breast cancer or ovarian cancer. So you still have to do your annual checks to make sure that there isn't anything going on in your body. Well, again, many persons don't realize it, but I mentioned something about checking with your husband or your boyfriend and saying what is it that they would like in the relationship. And I had a young lady, and this is in 2001, because I just checked my statistics. She had breast cancer at age 28. She did a mastectomy or chemotherapy, and then she tested for the gene. At that time, the insurance did not cover the gene at all, the genetic testing. She had to pay $2,700 for that test. Okay, she had to cover that out of pocket. And long time before Angelina Jolie, myself and Dr. Homer Bloomfield, we did a second mastectomy. We did a total abdominal hysterectomy with bilateral oophorectomy. That young lady is alive today and doing very well, right? So the testing became available after that to our breast cancer population. They limited to those who had breast cancer. Because again, so the statistics that I presented at MAB conference showed that the rate of breast cancer in this country in young women, young as defined by the World Health Organization, less than 35, was 11%. In the United Kingdom, it was something like 2%. In America, it was like 3 or 4%. But here in the Bahamas, we actually had an 11% rate of breast cancer, or my figures anyway, 11%, which is like 3 times higher than the United States. Yes. And that generated the first, I guess, study of BRCA genes in this country. Since then, we've had about 2 or 3 different cycles of doing it, where the costing was not as exorbitant as that $2,700. But it's still an expensive test to have done. And they do a lot more gene profiling now than they did back then, not just limited to BRCA gene. But that too is not necessarily a cheap effort. It's not cheap at all. But if at all possible, if they bring up a program and you have the opportunity to join it, I would suggest that you do, because it helps you evaluate your risk.
Yeah, I mean, overexercising can vary based on an individual. Of course, not everyone has the same athletic ability. Larger individuals are not always as athletic as slimmer individuals, but we cannot underestimate a large individual that they're not capable. So, and when we assess what is overexercising, it's all based on what your body can manage or tolerate. If you feel your heart rate a bit high, or you feel exhausted, a bit inebriated a bit, then you want to either slow down or stop the exercise. The recommendation for exercise for all individuals is a minimum of 30 minutes of vigorous, active exercise per day, 5 to 6 days in a week. Or if you can't accomplish that 30-minute, 5 to 6 days a week, then the other recommendation would be 1 hour, 3 to 4 times in a week. And it's whether you have 3 to 4 days or you want to exercise every day. In fact, we encourage persons to exercise almost every day. Even stretching is a form of exercise. If you have a heart condition or you have inabilities to do vigorous exercise, and we encourage you just to walk at a very slow pace or practice yoga or Tai Chi and for those who may have mobility issues, joint pains, unable to run because of knee issues, then cycling and swimming is definitely recommended as a form of cardiovascular exercise. When we think cardiovascular exercise, we want movement, something that gets the heart rate pumping. And when we think resistance exercise, you want anything that means that we push or pull our body weight or more than our body weight. All right. But of course, if you feel any form of discomfort when you exercise, you want to stop and take a breath or completely eliminate or remove yourself from that exercise altogether. So yeah, and just to add more volume to the water consumption, water is very important for metabolism. So I want to reemphasize that. We didn't speak about that, Dr. Munroe, so forgive me. We do want to encourage persons to drink based on their weight or their size. The larger the individual, more water. For an individual like myself, I would like to think I'm 6'2", but I'm only 5'9". 5'9", 170 pounds. I would require about 15 glasses of water. That's 8 ounces per serving. So an individual larger than myself requires more than 15 glasses of water. I know studies would have told us that we need to stick to a minimum 8 glasses of water. But that's not always true. We need water for hydration. We need water for defecation. And also, as Dr. Munroe mentioned, to remove toxins and eliminate toxins from the body. All right, well, we want to say thank you from myself and Dr. Munroe. We want to say thank you to each and every one of you that took the time to join this webinar. We also want to extend major thank yous to Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies for hosting myself and Dr. Munroe today. We hope that today's message was impactful. Should you need more information from myself or Dr. Munroe, you can reach out to Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supply and get our contacts. But we encourage you guys to take action now.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. And as a physician, normally I make the comments to my patient that I'm seeing you at the time when you have lost your health and we're trying to regain it. But really and truly, you are with yourself 365 days in the year. So you have to maintain your body, and it requires a number of different maintenance efforts, including, as we mentioned, your lifestyle adjustment, your diet, your exercise. And I think one of the things we may not have really emphasized is your hydration status. Water is very important, because all of those negative things, as Mr. Ingram actually mentioned, you breathing in these things, if you actually go there and sweat, you're excreting those things from your body. If you are passing urine, you're actually getting rid of those things. So literally, hydration is a very, very important part of your overall health effort. Keep yourself hydrated. And you're responsible for it. We can help, but on a daily basis, y'all guys are there, y'all girls, you are responsible for your health. Maintain it. And taking those bush medicine, they are very important. Very, very, very important. Because just about the majority of drugs that we use, they are plant-based.
Exactly.
They are natural-based. We have concentrated the compounds, but they actually came right from those bush that you drink. But you need to take those on a regular basis. As he mentioned, 3 times a week, 1 hour a day. You have to do it on a regular basis. I'm going to give you a pharmaceutical level, but that natural medicine can help you on a daily basis at that level. Thank you very much again.
As we bring this powerful and inspiring session to a close, it is my honor to extend a vote of thanks on behalf of Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited. Today's webinar, Thriving Beyond Diagnosis, Navigating Life, Care, and Wellness After Breast Cancer, has been a meaningful reminder that life after diagnosis is more than survival. It's about reclaiming wellness, purpose, and joy. We begin by expressing our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speakers, Dr. Locksley Munroe and Mr. Donovan Ingraham. Dr. Munroe, your clinical insight and compassionate perspective on breast cancer care and survivorship have provided us with a deeper understanding of what true patient-centered healing looks like. Your dedication to improving lives continue to inspire us all. Mr. Ingram, thank you for sharing your expertise in wellness and nutrition. Your guidance on the role of healthy living, balance, and self-care has shown us how vital it is to nourish both the body and mind as a part of the recovery journey. Your message of empowerment and holistic wellness resonated deeply with everyone present here today. To our breast cancer survivors, we salute your strength and your resilience. Your courage and your hope are at the heart of why we are here today. To honor your journey and to remind each of us that thriving beyond the diagnosis is possible. To our participants and community members, thank you for taking the time to join us to listen and learn. Your presence affirms the power of unity and compassion in shaping a healthier Bahamas. We also extend sincere appreciation to the organizing team and staff at Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited for their dedication, coordination, and commitment to making today's event a success. As we close, let us carry forward the spirit of awareness, healing, and wellness that has filled this space today. May we continue to support one another, not only in the month of awareness, but throughout the year, as we help every survivor truly thrive beyond the diagnosis. On behalf of Bahamas Medical and Surgical Supplies Limited, thank you once again for being a part of this important conversation. May we all continue to move forward in hope, in health, and in strength. Thank you.